Welcome back to the Crypto World channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, while Bitcoin is maintaining the bullish breakout on the larger time frames, we're still seeing the price play out this short-term bearish divergence. But more important than that, we now have major liquidity building to the downside below the current price, pointing towards a potential long squeeze, which I'll talk about in just a moment, alongside Ethereum now playing out this bearish divergence just in the short term. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video. So definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the 4-day Bitcoin chart, and I'll keep this quick because not a lot has changed over the last 1 day on this chart. So right now on the 4-day Bitcoin chart, the super trend indicator is still sitting in the red, and this will flip back into the green on this time frame if we see a confirmed breakout with a candle close above around 71,500 approximately. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day time frame, this signal has already flipped back into the green here in the super trend indicator on the 3-day Bitcoin chart, as I talked about over the last couple of days. But in order to get a better signal, a more accurate signal, ideally we also need to confirm the breakouts on the 4-day time frame to flip it into the green on the 4-day time frame, because historically speaking this has been very accurate. But with that being said, taking a look at the 2-day Bitcoin chart, and obviously right now we're still currently holding above this previous line of resistance, which at least in the short term for now is some good news, especially when we're talking about the larger price structure. Obviously anytime where we're breaking out above previous resistance, and especially if we flip that into new support, that is very bullish price structure for as long as we can actually hold above that level. And this level I'm talking about, by the way, is sitting at around 65,500 to 66,000 approximately. And so for as long as the price of Bitcoin is simply holding above that level and ideally bouncing from that level, then obviously we're still looking bullish when it comes to the larger time frames here, talking about the longer term trends that can play out over multiple months. But as I always say, it's important to understand the difference between the different time frames. So of course, a longer term bullish trend can contain short-term dumps or short-term pullbacks along the way, just like how a longer term bearish trend or a larger bearish trend can contain some short-term pumps or short-term bullish trends during the larger bearish trend. So essentially, at the time of recording this video on the larger time frames, the price structure at the moment is still looking bullish, but of course on slightly smaller time frames, it is looking slightly bearish at the moment, as I talked about in my last video. But first, taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, and right now we're still retesting this previous area of resistance, which could currently act as a bit of support, and that's sitting in between around 66.7k to 68.3k, give or take. So once again, that could act as some support right now, and would be very bullish if it does actually act as support and we bounce from this area. But with that being said, if we break back below around 66.7k, like I just said, we should also find some support around here at around 65,500 to 66,000, and below that level we also have more support in between around 64.2k to 64,500. And as for resistance further to the upside, we do have a small amount of resistance based on this local high and also these candlewick highs right here, just some short-term resistance at around 69,500, and also key resistance at close to around 72,000 and also 73,500 based on those all-time high levels. And if we're looking at the overall trend or the price structure on the daily time frame right now, for as long as we're holding above around 66,000, give or take, technically speaking, the price structure is looking more bullish than bearish, despite the short-term pullback, because we're still seeing, for example, higher lows and higher highs on the daily time frame, and generally speaking, the price is moving in the more bullish direction, despite short-term pullbacks along the way. But like I've been saying, if we see a confirmed break with a daily candle close, for example, back below around 66,000, give or take, then that would be the first sign of a trend change or a change in this bullish price structure. And if we're zooming into the shorter term, looking at the 3-hour Bitcoin chart, right now, technically speaking, we're still playing out the short-term bearish divergence, but considering this is on the 3-hour time frame, I don't necessarily expect this bearish divergence to play out much longer than it already has. Usually on the 3-hour time frame, A bearish divergence plays out over around 1 to 3 days, give or take, not very long. And so far, this bearish divergence has been playing out for roughly around 2 days approximately. So it could play out for a little bit longer, but I don't necessarily expect this particular pattern to play out for weeks, for example. And so in order to expect potentially more bearish price action, we would have to see some other factors, like for example, a possible long squeeze, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But first, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I take most of my trades over on Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make your Bybit account and deposit on that account, then you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here, which is a 500 USDT airdrop position. So basically a free $500 trade just by making your Bybit account, using that link, making a deposit and claiming the airdrop. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there's also Bitfinex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitfinex, which means if you're in the US or the UK, for example, or another country where you might not be able to access Bybit, you can access Bitfinex. I'll also leave a link to Bitfinex down below this video, and if you use that link, you can get up to a 5.5k deposit bonus, and only if you use that link, you can get an exclusive 10% discount on all trading fees on the Bitfinex exchange forever, but that's only if you use the link below this video to make your Bitfinex account. And so as another option out there other than Bybit, once again, there's Bitfinex, links down below if you want to claim those extra bonuses. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and right now we actually have more liquidity building to the downside, which is sitting at around 66.4k to 66.5k. So keep in mind that right now there's a lot of new long positions being opened up in the Bitcoin price, in the Bitcoin market right now, adding more liquidation levels to the downside, because if Bitcoin goes below that level, below around 66.4k, that would wipe out a bunch of new long positions. And so just keep that in mind. It's possible we could see a slight little drop just to take out those long positions, and that could possibly cause a bit of a long squeeze, which is the opposite of a short squeeze. Obviously, a short squeeze is bullish and a long squeeze would be bearish. So just keep that in mind. We do have a lot of liquidity starting to now build at just underneath 66,500. But with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, and right now we are still rejecting from this key resistance at around 2.8k. So not a lot has changed on this chart over the last 1 day. So getting straight into the 12-hour time frame, and we can still clearly see the rejection from this area of resistance in between around 2.7k to 2.8k, still acting as very strong resistance. And if we're taking a look at the 12-hour Ethereum RSI, we're also cooling off from overbought territories, which is very normal to see. Usually when the RSI gets close to overbought or enters into overbought territories, that means we're due to see a bit of a cool off in the form of either a pullback or maybe just some sideways price action, as the most common outcomes. Basically, reduced bullish price action is usually what we see after an overbought signal. But we do have this area of support to watch out for, sitting in between around 1550 to 1580. So it's possible we could simply retrace into that area and possibly bounce around that area if history is any indication. And honestly, I'll not be surprised if we see the price somewhat bounce around within this sideways price range right here, in between this area of support that I just mentioned and this area of resistance that I just mentioned, because at the moment we've lost most of the bullish momentum in the short term, but we don't necessarily have a lot of bearish momentum. We're just cooling off from overbought territories and rejecting from major resistance. But if we're taking a look at the 4-hour Ethereum chart, we are now playing out this bearish divergence, and we've seen this over the last 1 day actually already start to play out. So ultimately, we're simply just seeing a bit of a cool off, a pullback in the short term, as we're rejecting from resistance and playing out a bearish divergence. But with that being said, taking a look at Solana on the daily time frame, and right now the price of Solana is still trading within this area of support and this area of resistance, basically chopping around within a sideways price range at the moment. So this area of support that I'm looking at is in between around 159 to 163, and this area of resistance that I'm looking at is sitting in between around 170 to 175. So you can think of that resistance as where a lot of traders are interested in selling Solana, and this area of support support is where a lot of traders are interested in buying Solana at the moment. And technically speaking, while Solana is still holding above this area of support, technically this bullish breakout for this bullish inverse head and shoulders pattern is still currently active. It's just in the immediate short term, we're taking a bit of a pause along the way up during this breakout, because this breakout would only invalidate if we see a confirmed break back below the point of the breakout, which would mean breaking below this area of support. And so overall, as I also said for Bitcoin earlier in the video, the larger price structure at the moment is still currently looking bullish, because we've not confirmed any major breaks back to the downside below these key levels on the price chart on the larger time frames. It's just in the short term at the moment, we are seeing a bit of a cool off, either a pullback or some sideways price action, just basically resetting price oscillators like the RSI, which can potentially give us more room to the upside later on. And once again, if you want to trade these moves in the price of any crypto, check out those links down below this video to claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.